Hi everyone, it's Rod with the Photo Fair coming back at you with another video. Today, I want to talk a little bit about these types of cameras. Are they even still viable anymore? So there's the question, are these little cameras even viable? Now, the whole line of consumer point and shoot easy digital cameras did die. And we all know this kind of killed them. The modern cell phone. Modern cell phones take amazing snapshots, but they still have the limitations associated with itty bitty, teeny weeny little sensors. And Google Pixel and Samsung Galaxy phones and Apple iPhones are all attempting to get those sensors a little bigger, but they're very limited in what they can do inside of a phone. Cameras like this Canon G7X are a notable exception. This is the G7X Mark II. They make a Mark III version now. Nikon still makes cameras, small compact cameras like this, and so does Sony. I think you can find them from Olympus and possibly Pentax and certainly Panasonic. This is not a consumer grade camera. This is definitely more of a serious amateur camera, or even has some professional uses when a tiny camera is needed. This camera uses a sensor that's 4 or 5 times larger than the largest phone sensor. They call it a 1-inch sensor. It's actually not quite 1 inch. That dates back to the old cathode ray tube cameras. But the sensor is much, much larger. It's smaller than a Micro Four Thirds sensor, but much, much, much larger than phone sensors. And larger sensors still have value. The larger sensor definitely gives you a lot more latitude when making adjustments in Photoshop, like bringing out details in the shadows, controlling your highlights. Cell phones really fall apart when you start manipulating highlights and shadows. I mean, it gets ugly, even on high quality pro grade phones like this iPhone Pro. And it's life. It's how it works. It's never changed in photography. Back in the film days, people would shoot landscapes with these giant view cameras with 8 by 10 inch pieces of film. Why? Because they got a lot more data on that larger piece of film. And the same is true with a larger sensor. And so that's really the advantage on a camera like this. I'm not really going into a review of this. I did a review on Couve Camera of this exact camera. I'll link it down below there for you. I still think there's a lot of use for these. I use this camera for going out to light events where I would like to have a nice small light camera. This one's got an effective 24-100 f1.8 to 2.8 lens. So nice and fast, a nice effective range, a fast enough aperture where if you need to blow out the background a little bit, you can. Great street shooting camera, easy power zoom. I mean, these things are great. If I need to edit the photos, I can edit the photos in Photoshop, no problem. This makes 20 megapixel images. Be honest with you, I wish this was a 16 megapixel camera because it would even have more dynamic range, most likely. But it takes really sharp photos, editable photos, and it's super small and compact. And I travel with this camera sometimes when I don't want to carry my interchangeable lens camera. Again, Sony and Nikon make cameras similar to this as well. Sony, quite a few actually, as does Canon. And so I really believe these do have a use in today's world, even though we all have super cool phone cameras now. I'm going to show you some information here, kind of talks about why this might still be a product that you might want to use, even if you've got a expensive, top end camera, that's either a DSLR or a modern mirrorless camera body. You may want to have a camera like this just to knock around because it's going to smoke this, even if you got a top end phone. So here's take a look at some of the data that I've gotten, some photos that I've made with this camera, and tell me what you think in the comments below. Okay, before we get started, I talked about sensor size. Here is a chart, courtesy of lensvid.com, showing common sensor sizes. So take note, the little tiny sensor for the little iPhone down there, it's an older iPhone, is the 1/32. Some of the phones today are using the larger 1/2 sensor that used to be in little compact point and shoot consumer cameras. And there are some phones that are even using 1-inch sensors, but I don't believe any of those are in the United States. They're all coming out of China, and word on the street is the software in there isn't as good as what you get out of modern phones. So they're not actually as good as what you would get with the camera I'm talking about here. You can definitely see that 1-inch sensor is way bigger than those little sensors at the end on the right. Okay, here you have just a little travel shot of the wife in Glasgow, Scotland. This picture, I was able to really pull some shadow detail up in the buildings there that I really wouldn't have been able to do with a cell phone. Okay, this one, similar type shot in Aberdeen, Scotland. Again, the shadow details in that church building would not have been there with a cell phone. And if I tried to pull them up in a cell phone shot, I would have had a lot of noise. Here I got a pretty clean image. This picture of my lovely wife in the car was also taken with this. You can see the background's nicely blown out. I did apply a soften effect on there so she wouldn't murder me, but the camera is sharp, it's crisp. You're not getting a shot like that with a cell phone. So I own the G7X Mark II. Canon currently has the G7X Mark III. Subtle differences between the two. I love this camera. There are competitors from Sony and possibly Nikon, but I'm real familiar with this camera. I did a detailed review on Couve Camera. I'll put a link down below to that. But these are small, compact cameras. And I think they're going to blow away what you can get even with the best cell phones. But they're not as good as what you get with a modern, APS-C or full-frame DSLR or mirrorless camera. According to Canon's USA website, they currently list this camera for $699. I think it's worth every penny of that. Again, Sony's got a whole line of cameras like this as well. And both Canon and Sony have models with extended zoom ranges, and there's all kinds of different features and so on that might be more suitable for what you do. I really like this one because it's got a very high speed f1.8 at 24 millimeter and f2.8 at 100 millimeter. And of course, those are effective focal lengths. I think it's really 8.8 to 36 or something is the focal length. So that's really all I've got on that. I think these are still viable products. And you can take a look at Nikon, Canon, and Sony's website, Olympus, Panasonic, even Leica, I think still makes a small little camera like this if you really want to go super high end. Get out there and take photos with something a little bit better than this. But if this is all you have, then by all means, shoot away. Don't forget, we've got a photo fair camera show coming up at Seawood Photo in San Rafael. This is our once-a-year annual event in the parking lot at Seawood Photo. Seawood Photo is going to have some amazing deals on film and darkroom supplies and cameras and lenses and all the stuff they have in that amazing store in San Rafael. And meanwhile, the photo fair is going to have some of our favorite vendors out in the parking lot, bringing you even more merchandise to look at. Between Seawood and the 25 tables of merchants out back, there's going to be more camera stuff than you can imagine. So be sure to be there on Saturday, the 22nd of June at the Seawood Photo parking lot, link below to the Photo Fair event. And we look forward to seeing you there and at camera shows up and down the West Coast. Subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. We really need you to subscribe. We got lots of good content coming here in the future. Go ahead and hit that button. You know you want to do it.